Hello, don't allow this section to wreck our marriage lock-in on the grounds that we're jumping into some most unfathomable VIP dramatization today. Picture this: Marjorie and Steve Harvey, one of the most glitzy couples in showbiz, in a wild, grimy fight against Marjorie's ex, Jim Townsend. Jim is set to spill some sweltering, shameful tea about Marjorie in his impending book. And it seems like the Harvey are putting it all out there to keep that from occurring on the off chance that you love a succulent VIP quarrel loaded up with hazardous disclosures. You're certainly perfectly positioned. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Celeb Live Channel today. We discuss the extremely hot show fermenting between Marjorie Harvey, her significant other Steve, and her ex Jim Townsend. We'll initially dive into Jim's stunning commitments for his forthcoming detailed account book, where he intends to uncover a few truly outrageous mysteries about Marjorie's past, from drug managing to tax avoidance, and, surprisingly, her turbulent connections. After that, I'm additionally going to unload some stunning insider claims about how the Harveys are proclaiming battle on Feint, doing their absolute best to forestall the arrival of this book. You won't have any desire to miss this, since it seems like the Harveys are in all-out attack mode, and things are going to get genuinely muddled. We should begin. It will be a wild ride. Jim Townsend, on the off chance that you didn't know, was once responsible for a significant medication cartel. That is correct, yet that is not the very thing we're keen on. He was hitched to Marjorie Harvey, Steve Harvey's flow spouse. So here's where things begin to warm up. Before, when Jim was on top, he and Marjorie were solid. They were bringing up two kids together. However, at that point, things went south. Jim got captured, and keeping in mind that he was in prison, Marjorie left him and began another existence with Steve Harvey. From what sources murmured, it appears Marjorie didn't pass on Jim to his destiny in jail. No, she took incredible measures to make his daily routine and experiencing damnation. We should initially say that you shouldn't feel regretful for anything at any rate. She quickly restricted her kids from visiting their dad in jail. Additionally, insiders say Jim and Marjorie had some sort of money supply, so Marjorie took the cash for herself, too, in light of the fact that Jim then found some kind of purpose for existing sentence dissemination. Since they had did the right on tax evasion. Yet they would even not like to manage it. Wasn't no utilization. Just a lot later was he exonerated and ended up going free without a dime. Well, it seems to be Jim's preparing to repay Marjorie. Amazingly, every one of the fans have been humming of late about the book Jim has chosen to deliver. In the event that the tales are valid, it's going to explode. The business rumors from far and wide suggest that this book won't just flip around Marjorie's reality. Yet in addition, the existences of Steve Harvey and their kids, it doesn't really matter to me. All the Lord ponies and every one of the ruler's men can't prevent me from putting this book out. It will be a self-portrayal, with an enormous piece of it being about their coexistence with Marjorie, and in particular about Marjorie's contribution in the medication exchange. You don't succumb to Marjorie's honest public picture, do? Yes. There are many reports affirming that she was engaged with her better half's criminal dealings. So we're in for a ton of energy this mid-year in the most natural-sounding way for Jim. I have no loyalty to Marjorie. She showed her hand. I will recount to my story. That is all there is to it. Parents, he's not keeping anything down. You can wager Marjorie's filthy clothing is going to be broadcasted, and insiders say it will be one amazing ride. Now, jail is no stroll in the park, and Jim has had his reasonable part of difficulties. The man has served 26 years. People envision every one of the things he's seen, every one of the things he's experienced. Yet here's the trick: he composed 66% of his wager book. He has a ton of delicious subtleties to share. Insiders are now getting a handle on for pearls, fully expecting what might be said about to come out. One unknown source said it's not only a sideshow. Jim is prepared to copy refrigerators, and he doesn't really mind who fails spectacularly. Stunning, isn't it? Well, lock in light of the fact that the book is just a month from raising a ruckus around town. He has endured long stretches of disengagement, long stretches of jail life, and long periods of being cut off from his family. Yet presently, it seems as though he's prepared to switch jobs, so as we plan for the book's delivery, recollect this. It's not just about Marjorie's past, about a man was detested who was dealt with unreasonably, and presently he's prepared to recount his side of the story. And golly, it seems as though it will be one amazing story. Yet before we get to the fundamental subject of this video, how Marjorie and Steve are attempting to prevent the book from coming out, we should think together about what Jim needs to say that unnerves the Harvey family. Before she was known as Mrs. Harvey, she had a remarkable, captivating past, messed up for certain obscure characters. If it's not too much trouble, welcome the chick of my fantasy, my better half Marjorie. How about we start with the most serious allegations against Marjorie? Before she began strolling on red floor coverings, she was profoundly associated with drug dealing. Stunning, I know. Yet hang on, in light of the fact that this is only the starting. Her ex, Jim Townsend, was at that point a solidified criminal. The Medication Requirement Organization got him with 40 kilograms of unlawful substances in the storage compartment of his vehicle. He wasn't some humble seller, he was one of the primary players in the city. So Marjorie knew precisely who she was wedding, who she was having kids with, and endured her significant other's business, as well as effectively partook in it herself. That is the reason it's very bizarre to see her endeavors to depict herself as a blameless sheep who basically wound up in a terrible circumstance. And Jim saw everything, folks. He saw Marjorie profoundly engaged with questionable arrangements and bringing in serious cash from criminal operations. In view of what he alludes to, it wasn't simply an entertainer's show. No, Marjorie wasn't remaining uninvolved. She was not too far off in that frame of mind of it. She was his colleague in the shadow business. I'm telling now you know many individuals, since all that's been going across the web is false. You wouldn't fret. When Jim was transformed into jail, one would figure Marjorie would accept it as a reminder, right? Yet no, she went on with the shadow business, managing everything all alone. And when she understood she was unable to deal with it, she got hitched for the second time. No, not for Steve Harvey. He'll come a digit later. Marjorie had one more husband. Very little is realized about him, with the exception of that he is Darnell Woods. And he's Jim's cousin. Yes, you heard that right. Marjorie wedded one more famous figure in the medication exchange. Makes you think, doesn't it? The subsequent husband didn't remain free for a really long time and followed his sibling to jail. Insiders murmured regarding a potential hypothesis that Marjorie exchanged her first and second husbands for an opportunity at opportunity. One source even ventured to such an extreme as to say she's brilliant. She knew how to play this game. She left, leaving them in the residue, and set out toward greener fields with Steve Harvey. Yet the situation starts to get interesting, folks. Jim Townsend intends to uncover Marjorie the criminal, as well as Marjorie the mother. As Jim and numerous insiders report, she wasn't the most ideal good example, and Jim himself needed to step in to bring up their youngsters. His definite words were, "I was the one changing diapers and perusing sleep time stories. She wasn't there by any means." Now, it appears Steve Harvey has assumed on the liability of bringing up the kids, while Marjorie keeps on carrying on with her life, apparently without a care a world. Besides, sources near the family proposes